Hey everybody, it's Brandon Lee from Yip Yip, and welcome back to another episode of Celebrate the Wins, where we love to celebrate sales wins. Stefani, welcome. Thanks for coming today.
Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Good, wonderful. Well, let me introduce you to everybody. This is my friend, Stefani Diaz. We met here in Atlanta. We've done some work together. She is amazing at what she does. She is the founder of Mastermind Your Launch. It's a business she's had for about 2.5 years. I love your story of transition and change and how you started it. And we're not going to get into that today, maybe another time, but she has an amazing, incredible story where, and I want to make sure I get this right for you. You're a personal brand and visibility coach for entrepreneurs.
Yeah.
And you are a radio host.
Yes.
Stefani Diaz, welcome to Celebrate the Wins.
Brandon, thank you so much for having me here. I'm really excited to be on the show with you.
Wonderful. Well, we have always had great conversations between the two of us. The energy level keeps going up, which is fantastic. So let's jump into this because, as you know, we do 5 questions in 18 minutes or less, and we're going to celebrate your win. And in the process, we are going to hopefully help people listening learn a little bit about what you did, maybe learn from your successes, maybe learn from things you think you could do better next time. So we're jumping in. You ready to dive in?
I'm ready. Let's do it.
Okay. So question number 1, as you know, is do you think sales are harder now or easier than they were 10 years ago? And I'll save my comments, by the way.
Thank you. So I kind of took a cop out on this question because I'm going to say both, but I have an explanation for that.
Cop out.
I think that sales can be easier today if you are leveraging content and getting your brand out there. I've had several cases where I hop on a sales call with someone and they are already ready. They've been following me. I've even had the comment, "Oh my God, it's you." Like they hear my voice because they've been listening to the radio show. There's so much rapport built there. And yet I haven't, this is my first engagement with them. This is my first time meeting them, but they feel like they know me. And so that know, like, and trust is there because I have been putting out my voice, putting out my brand, and putting out content that's serving them. So that makes sales conversations really, really easy. I mean,
right.
It's really just a matter of making sure that, you know, we're addressing their pain point and whatever the engagement is, and then letting them know what the next steps are. So for that reason, I say that it can be easier now in sales. However, I will say that it's also harder because there's a lot of noise. There are a lot of people putting out content, putting their voice out there. And so how are you connecting with the audience? How are you being unique? How are you, relating to them and speaking their language? That and they're bombarded with tons of messages like that. So that can make it harder. So sorry.
No, that's a cop out, total cop out. But you know what I want to say is you've done a great job. I mean, in all honesty, I would have expected you to say easier. Now, first of all, 10 years ago, you may have been, I don't know, a sophomore in high school or something, but that's besides the point. I would have expected you to say easier because of what you said at the beginning. You have done a great job of being consistent with content. You have multiple mediums of your content. You have your radio show, your writing, you've got good graphics and images going up on Instagram and Facebook and things. So I would have expected you to say, if you put a plan in place, it's very easy. So, but I do get that. I mean, every time I hear the word noise, I want to go, gosh, we got to figure out what the heck we all mean with this noise, because it's there and we're all aware of it, but at the same time, we can cut through noise.
It's true. Well, and it is true. And I think that that's where the personal brand comes into play.
Right.
I'll share a little bit about, my beliefs and why I focus on personal branding with my clients, because I believe in it so much. Because to your point, I mean, it's been a game changer for me in, reinventing my entire career. Yeah. And it really comes down to sharing not just your knowledge, but being, taking that extra step to let yourself and your personality be authentically seen and really make a connection with your audience. A lot of people, when they think, I need to blog or even podcast, it is, let me share some tips, some how-tos. And so they get right to work sharing, here are 3 tips for this and 3, I don't know, do's and don'ts for XYZ. And they start sharing some knowledge, but there's no connection. They're not even putting their face in their email marketing. So it's like, who is this coming from? It's all at like an info@ email address. They really try to mask the personality of their company or even themselves. And I think that is a really lost opportunity. So the more that you can focus there, the more that people are going to say, I have this problem. I need an accountant. I need a lawyer. And I don't need to search because I kind of already know who I want to work with. It's that person that I keep seeing that I really like.
Right. Yeah. And then it comes back to what you said is when you get on and I've been doing content marketing for almost 20 years now. And I've heard this over and over and over. And this was, pre-digital too, is content builds relationships. So we would get people that say they went on what they thought was a sales call. And they would say something like, well, if you choose to work with us, or if you do this, and like, what do you mean if? Right? I know you, like I chose you. There's no one else coming in behind you. And it's the power of content, quality content that's targeted, that is consistent, builds relationships.
It is. And I mean, we, think about your favorite bands, that you're loyal to. I mean, that's content right there, and you're loyal, and you're going to pay $200 for front row seats when they come into town. I mean, it's all, and you feel like them, love them. That's content too, so
that's great.
Not just in the business sense, but just how much of a relationship and a loyalty that can be built with someone that you have never met and might not ever meet.
Yeah, that's great. Okay, we got to move on because that 18-minute counter is like pushing me already. I'm so sorry, but let's jump into this. Okay, so tell us about your win, the win that you want to celebrate and why it was so important for you to come out here and celebrate it. And I would do the dance, but you dance so much better than I do. So I'm leaving all the dancing on this episode to you.
Ballerina up here. So my big win, this year I really took a big pivot in my business and started being more intentional about focusing on women entrepreneurs. And that all started with an event called WOE, W-O-E, for Women Only Entrepreneurs. And we've hosted 2 to date here in the Atlanta area. And so that's a huge win in and of itself. But I have a story from those and a little bit of a lesson learned. That's my true win. And it's an event that was inspired by WOE. And it's called the Face Forward Intensive. It's a 1-day intimate personal brand and visibility workshop for entrepreneurial women. And the story behind the Face Forward Intensive is that when I hosted the first WOE event, I didn't make an offer at the end. I didn't pitch anything. I didn't even really talk about me and what I did. I wanted to create just an amazing experience for the people attending. And that was my entire focus, was just that program. And I didn't offer a next step. And what happened was there were women that were so inspired. They're like, okay, so how do I stay involved? Is there a membership? When people are like trying to like give you money and you're like, no, there's nothing. And that really taught me something. And it's not just about capitalizing on, the energy that they had, but it's that these women need something. I have learned so much. How do I give back and help them take better steps along their journey? And so I started thinking about the best way that I could serve. And I put together the Face Forward Intensive because it really speaks to all of the things that I'm inspired by: collaboration, obviously personal branding, and really making it focused on women entrepreneurs. And so I hosted my first intensive last Friday, and it was so incredible. Like, I had expectations of, how I was going to serve, but just the experience when everyone got in the room was so so much more than I even planned, that now Face Forward is going to be a recurring event for Mastermind Your Launch as well. So that is my big win.
That is a great win. So we're going to celebrate that great win. Good job. Very proud of you. Hey, you know what I want to point out with that is, and as you know, we go through the WIN framework with the questions, but what I love about that is we're kind of jumping to the end already. Like, what's the nugget that you're going to do next time? So you started with WOA, the women only entrepreneurs, and went, I need to do something different next time. And you probably went through, like, you knew all the things you did well, and there were some things you wanted to improve, but next time you're like, I need an offer. I need something to keep in front of them and provide more opportunity for them to connect and get this great content. And you created a new event out of nothing. That's fantastic.
And I think, so the big, takeaway for me as far as like, and this is just a lesson for me to take in everything I do, is to always know what that next step should be and serve, and knowing that, by not making an offer, it was really a disservice to the audience in that first event. It's really your service to the people that you work with to make sure if there's still something hanging out for them, how are you going to help them? And I think a lot of times when it comes to sales, we're scared to make the offer, we're scared to make the pitch, because we don't want to seem salesy. And then it totally got reframed for me with that whole experience, because I realized that it's my job to put something out there that's going to be of value. And I don't want someone to take it if it's not going to serve them. But if it's going to serve them, then it's my responsibility to make sure that it's there for them to take advantage of.
Right, right. One of the things that I heard that I really loved is just reminding us that whether you're, a solopreneur building a company, or you're a salesperson in a larger company or anything, you always have to be prepared for what's next. Like, what are you doing? What are you offering next? Whether they're still in prospect mode or they're a client, what's next that's helping them, that's adding value? Yeah. So, I mean, you're still selling even once the deal is done, because now you're working on retention or referrals, or, moving them to the next level or the next product or whatever it may be. So that is such a great reminder of always be aware of what's next. And you kind of messed up the first time, right? You didn't have the offer, but you took it as a learning opportunity and created a new program, and off you went. So good for you. That's awesome.
Thank you.
Yeah. So when you had the Face Forward Intensive, give it one or two things. Like, what did you do really well in that process? Because that's right, what we do to celebrate. What did we do well?
So what I did really well with the Face Forward Intensive is being really intentional about providing the guests a framework. It's really a step-by-step system that allows them to build out the messaging, the platform and channels, and the visual brand that they're going to be launching. And it makes their next steps very crystal clear. So that is what really made the day so effortless and just really, really exciting to engage in conversation, because it was so crystal clear, where we were and then where we were going.
Right.
So the framework was really a big part of that.
Well, I would imagine the takeaway for them having a framework, because, in any type of business, it's always like, if you have concepts of what you want to do and where you're going without the framework, it makes it just a lot harder to get there.
Right. Well, and actually, hold on one second. I'm going to grab something. I have it right here. So the framework was in a notebook too. And so they have this takeaway, and there's like all of the, questions. And so this is a resource that they can refer back to for years and years, put their little notes in it, add to it, go through the steps. If their business evolves in 2 years and they want to revisit this entire structure to build new messaging, then they have it all right here. And so I think that was a really big part of it too.
Very cool. Okay, so Stephanie, move to the side a little bit and do this. No, just do that. There you go. Because right there was where we'll put the URL.
mastermindyourlaunch.com/faceforward.
There you go. The shameless, the shameless plug of, and here's my 3-ring binder that everybody gets. It's all good.
I worked really hard on that binder. I'll have you know.
So let's move into then the improve side. when you did the event, the Face Forward Intensive, and you had successes, and I know you did a lot of other things really well, and I'm sorry we're moving because it's 5 questions in 18 minutes, and yeah. So what are one or two things that you looked at afterwards and said, these are areas I could improve?
So the areas I think, as far as improving, is now that I've made it a regular part of the, of kind of the brand and the product offerings, is about being consistent with the marketing of it. Leading up to the first workshop, I did a series of Facebook Lives. I published LinkedIn articles, it was all this hype. Well, I can't go back and film a new Facebook Live that's the same message. I have to figure out now, how am I going to push the new event? So, something to just, my kind of next to do is figuring out that content marketing system that's going to drive the new events and how to keep it fresh.
Got it.
Yeah, it's really one of my challenges moving forward, for sure.
Cool. Well, anything else that you look back on that and say, this is an area of improvement for me?
Oh gosh, there's tons.
Anything that really stands out?
Oh yeah, and I will say another lesson learned from the Face Forward Intensive is that, when I put it together, I wanted it to be intimate, but intimate, can still vary. So I was thinking, like, we have 15 people in the room and go through all of this. And we ended up having, like, it was a higher price point because I wanted to make sure it was women who were already established in their businesses, were clear on their product offerings. We had to move the date a couple of times because I got sick really, really badly after Tony Robbins. And so we ended up having a smaller group in the session. And at first I was like, was that, is this kind of like not a failure, but, I came short of my expectation.
Right.
And actually what happened was I realized this has to be a 4 to 6 person event, because it would not have worked with any more people in the room. It really provided the space for them to have max value. And so sometimes when you're going to provide that big value, you've got to scale back, and just be realistic about what's the right format for you to do that.
Cool.
So it was a blessing.
A good learning out of that then for next time.
Yeah.
Yeah, cool. Okay, well, that runs us right into next time, and maybe that was the one very specific, but is there anything else, like, part of this format is helping everybody learn from our successes. Say, now that you've been through it, you've had some success, what are 1 or 2 nuggets that you've learned that you'll do differently next time?
Yeah, I think just, really putting myself in the shoes of the person and creating from that space, and just making sure that I'm not just throwing in, everything in the kitchen sink, but really being intentional about what is going to take them from point A to point B, and keeping it simple. Like I said, that simple framework. I think a lot of times we feel like we have to overdo. When I actually spoke with someone recently, she said she hosted an event, and by the end, the curriculum that she put together, she's having to flip through, quickly to get through because she had overstuffed the day.
Wow,
and
yeah.
so keeping it simple so that people can actually digest and be clear and not be overwhelmed. You don't want people brain dead at the end of a workshop. You want them inspired and like ready to go. And so I think that's something that will be very intentional moving forward.
Cool.
Yeah.
And here I thought, and I expected the thing that you would do differently next time is open it up to men so that I could come. But that wasn't part of your next time, huh?
I don't know. Maybe there's room for ambassadors, as we call them.
Very good.
Yes. Yeah.
I am working on my next book. I might need help getting that thing launched and focused.
I'm your girl.
That's it. You are. Okay. So we are almost done. Okay. So we got 2 things left to do. One is my surprise question, of course, which you did not know about. And then the second thing is for you to plug away. It is shameless plug time. So, you could even do that again if you want. Yeah, mastermindyourlaunch.com.
Yes.
Where else would you want people to go? Tell us about your podcast.
Okay, yeah. So the radio show, mastermindyourlaunch.com. If you're tuning in to this after October 2017, I'll give you a sneak peek. we'll be talking about the Stefani Diaz show. It's being completely revamped because the podcast has been around for 2.5 years, and it's time to freshen it up.
And
so
100 episodes.
100 episodes. That
Very
is
cool. That deserves some celebration as well.
Yeah.
Congratulations. That's awesome.
So yeah, so we're going to revamp and refresh. So, but still, mastermindyourlaunch.com, events, radio episodes, free downloads, lots of good stuff there. So check it out.
Awesome. There you go. Okay. Surprise question of the day. You ready?
I'm not ready. Yes.
You're not ready. It'll be an easy one for you. You ready?
Yeah.
What I know about you and what I see with you on social media. Ready? What is your favorite dance?
My favorite dance. Okay, so my favorite, backstory for the people that don't know, I'm a dancer, and I love taking dance classes anytime I can fit it into my schedule. My favorite dance is, I'm going to say, contemporary.
Okay.
And the reason is because it's very emotional and expressive. And I think that's the reason that I love dance, is because I can express kind of what I'm feeling, and it's like this outlet for me. So contemporary, those classes I just love.
Very cool. Thank you. Well, I think our editors are going to have a little fun with some animation and sound effects on that. So hopefully you'll enjoy the outcome of that. Stefani Diaz with Mastermind Your Launch. Thank you so much for being here. I appreciate it. Congratulations on all your success, but really thank you for coming and sharing that win with us and telling us about your process. Congratulations.
Thank you so much for having me. Thank you to everyone who watched, and yeah, congrats to you too. Proud of you.
Hey, thanks, Stephanie. All right, everybody. Brandon Lee again with goyipyip.com. Thank you so much. And hey, if you know anybody that is in sales functions or building companies and they have some great wins that you think should be shared on our show, let us know who they are. We'll get them in the lineup and bring them on, and we will celebrate their wins as well. Hope you all have a great day. Thanks for coming.